Welcome to This Pause For You podcast, celebrating service, therapy, and working dogs, and how they save lives every day. Join us as we get to know the dogs and their handlers. Be sure you're subscribed. This Pause For You podcast is brought to you in part by Springer Education Entertainment, Anchor Productions, and Dogs on Duty, the Dog U Series. Find out more about that one at thedoguseries.com. Now your host, refreshing Rahn Springer.
Thank you, Epic Voice Guide. Welcome to This Pause For You podcast, our first podcast and our first guest, Joe Egbert and Shelli Reitcheck of Go Team Therapy Dogs.
Thanks for having us, Ron.
What is the difference between a therapy service and an emotional support dog?
A therapy dog is a comfort dog. A service dog is for its person. It's not for any other person. And so with our therapy dogs, we see all sorts of people and give them comfort.
For either one of you, how did you and your dog first become a therapy team?
The organization started in 2016 in Idaho. And in 2018, I was going through training with my dog, Denali, and I was told that she was a therapy dog, and I didn't know what a therapy dog was. And so they directed me to Go Team, and I went through the certification and still didn't know what to do. And she taught me. She taught me what a therapy dog does, which is basically giving comfort.
I got interested when about 10 years ago when I had a different yellow lab and I was out in Chicago. It just didn't work out because of all of the regulations out there and my job at that time. So when we moved back to Idaho, I decided that I was going to get involved with a therapy group. And so I started doing research and I found Go Team and they're incredible. And so after I got Max, my 4-year-old lab now, he was 8 weeks old and we just delved in and started him with my mom. My mom was in memory care at that time, and I just felt like he was a perfect fit for therapy, and the rest is history. I continued with Go Team. They're wonderful.
Why don't you just tell us then about more about the training? And so it's a certified therapy dog that you work toward, and that's an actual organized program, correct?
It is correct. We're not a get on the internet, print out a form, sign it, and you're a therapy dog. It doesn't work like that with us. We require a whole lot of training for basic obedience, and then you have to get what's called a Canine Good Citizen, and that's through AKC. Once you get that, then you're evaluated based on what we know a good therapy dog is, a Go Team dog. And then once that's established, you go through a very intense 20-hour weekend of training and testing. And not everybody passes. Sometimes it's the dog, sometimes it's the handler. But we learn about public transportation, going through TSA security, how to properly get into an elevator, go upstairs, how to work around fire trucks with all the noise and the firemen in all their gear. So it's a really great training weekend, but it also shows us a lot about the dogs and the handlers.
So it's not only training the dogs, it's actually training the handlers, and it's like boot camp. It's like for two full days, you say?
That's a good way to put
That's
it.
a good way.
Boot camp, because it really is intense, and it's kind of intimidating, and I'll admit that. But we also try to make it a lot of fun with some of the exercises. But what we're looking for is a good team, because a dog can be wonderful, but if the handler doesn't pay attention to the dog and lets it off to, the end of its lead to go disrupt something, that's not a good situation. They have to be under control. We go into some areas where a dog can't, jump up on somebody. They might rip their skin. So we need to teach that, and we need to make sure that they understand that. And so that's what happens in the boot camp.
If I get this right, then there are traits and behaviors you look for in a dog, but there's also traits and behaviors in a handler, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'll bet the dog is easier to find the traits than the handler, right?
Sometimes. Not always, so.
What are the behaviors that are essential and traits for a therapy dog then?
We're looking for calm, gentle dogs, friendly dogs, social dogs, dogs that are non-reactive, good manners, and really good basic obedience. Those really are the key factors to making a really good therapy dog.
So any dog can be a therapy dog, but they've got to have those traits or behaviors.
I wouldn't say every dog can be a therapy dog. You can have friendly dogs that are really, really hyper and they don't stay with that person very long. And so you kind of have to look at those traits. They need to be calm, happy, and friendly all at the same time to be able to go to the majority of the places we go to.
And those places would be what? Hospitals, schools, nursing homes. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, sure. You named quite a few. We do go to the VA twice a week. A lot of different schools. I think we're probably up to 16 or 17 schools that we go to. We are up to 26 assisted living places we go to. We do a lot of businesses for stress busting, especially during their busy times. We had a place the other day that we went to, a business that the excitement in that room was amazing and was so exciting. And we heard best day ever when we were in there, and all the smiles were just awesome. So it's not just, hospitals and schools, it's also businesses that we take care of.
So stress busting, so that would be any kind of job that has really high intensity or really, really crazy, frenetic kind of behavior. Is that what we're talking about?
That's correct. Yeah, we go to the courthouse, Ada County Courthouse, because they are under a tremendous amount of stress. And the Treasurer's Department, during tax season, they really like seeing us.
And then we do businesses like Amazon. We go to Amazon, high-stressed environment. We go to victim services, high-stressed environment. So just to provide a little bit of love and hugs and cuddles, that's what the dogs are there for. And we love it because we walk in and we walk out and we're like, this was the best day ever. So we say the same thing every single time we go into one of these places. We absolutely, we feel like we make an impact. And so that's what feeds our desire, our passion, is that we see that.
What is your best story about how a dog has made a significant impact in a given situation?
I will start with that one, Ron. So the best story I say to everyone that I talk to is that my husband and I are both handlers of Max, and he's a yellow lab. And we went early on in our career with Go Team, we went to the VA hospital. We walked into this room and there was a patient in bed, and he was very anxious, and he was fighting the nurse, and the nurse was trying to get blood from him, and she was just having a terrible time. So we walk in and he sees Max as a yellow lab, and his whole demeanor changes. He kind of relaxes and he's like, I want to see that lab. I've had 6 labs in my life. And so we got Max almost on the table on the bed with him, and he just sat there and he petted Max, and Max was just like loving everything. He was loving everything. And in the end, the nurse just looked at me and said, we're done. We got all the blood. And so I looked at my husband and we were both like awestruck, going, this is why we're there. We made such an impact on that one particular person. But every single time we go in, like I said before, it's just feels like we make an impact all over, and it's just absolutely incredible. For me, for the dogs, for the team, for everyone.
So it's not even just the person that has the therapy dog right there with them. It's the staff, it's the nurses, if it's a medical situation. So it's everybody.
The kids.
Those are the good things that and exciting things. But I'll bet there are challenges, right? So what are some of those challenges for a therapy dog?
Well, we answer a lot of crisis call out. This past year was pretty tough on us, tough on the community. Boise school systems, they had quite a few situations, deaths, and we got called out quite a few. And one of the hardest ones was at a junior high, and we actually set up 2 different shifts so that we could be there the majority of the day with the counselors to help out. And Shelli and I were in the first shift, and you could just feel the grief in that room when the kids came in. And it wasn't just the kids, it was also the counselors, the teachers. And I had one gal come up and lay down with Denali, my mini Australian Shepherd, and hugged her for 7 to 8 minutes and just cried. And all 6 handlers that were in that room saw that, and we all pretty much lost it.
Be hard not to.
It would be very, yeah. And so that little girl thanked me and went off into the corner by herself and came back to me. And we have what's called our traveling dogs, which is a stuffy that has its own vest. And we have those for kids that are scared of dogs, assisted living folks that are scared of dogs. Well, she came over and asked me if she could take traveling Denali, and went over to a corner and just hugged on that dog and cried, and eventually came back feeling so much better and thanked me for being there. And the impact that had on all the handlers, all of the dogs, all of the counselors was pretty amazing that day. There was a lot of healing that went on in that room with those 6 dogs and those 6 handlers. And that was probably the day I realized how much we do.
What an impact we make.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's just, it's all about the dogs. I got to keep saying that. It's just amazing what they could do.
But some of our challenges also are like, we walk into an environment that we have no idea what we're walking into and how we adapt to it, how the dogs adapt to it, how everyone adapts to it. We just sit back and we watch, and we're just like, our dogs are incredible. Our handlers are incredible. They are just able to adapt to all these challenges, strange noises, the banging of things, the sirens, all that. And also even the human beings themselves. We walk into a normal environment, or like last night we were at National Night Out, and there's little kids, there's big kids, there's sirens, there's everything you can imagine. There was music behind. They just have to be able to adapt to all those challenges and know that what their job is. And our dogs, they do know what their job is. They put the vest on and they're like, hey, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But so it does always come back to the dogs. Our handlers are great, but our dogs are incredible.
They are.
And they're able to handle so many challenges when we take them out. Every day, every event is so different for us. We never know what we're walking into, and that's why we're pretty good. We like our team. We just have incredible dogs, handlers, everything. Our team is incredible.
That's pretty cool, because then you're actually every day is a new challenge and a new adventure, basically.
It really is. Kids come in sometimes when we call it hot behavior. Some kids are afraid of us. Some kids, like Joe had mentioned, or some people, we walk into a room and they don't want to see the dog. We react to that. And so it's like we read it and we just say, okay, and we move on. And
read the room.
Read the room.
All right, so I wanted to go back to, you mentioned that the dogs put the vest on and they know what to do. So when they don't have the vest on, they're like any other dog. They're just your dog, right?
Yes, my Aussie is an Aussie.
Yeah.
So they get plenty of I guess me doggy time, and then when they put the vest on, they know what they're doing. They're professionals.
Yes, they get their downtime too, just like people from work. They know that they're working with the vest on, but we take the vest off and they know it's their time and some downtime.
When you look at that, because you've got different behavior when the vest is off. When the vest is on, they're professional. But are there any misconceptions about the work they do? Do people not really put it together at first, or do they get it right away when they see them?
I do believe that sometimes they get confused about our vests. They do think, a lot of people think that, they have their red vest on and they've seen some service dogs that have red vests on, so they don't want to pet our dog. And so we make it pretty clear and like, come pet our dogs. They want to go say hi to you. They want to come and get loved. And so I think that's probably our biggest misconception of the vests for us.
They also think that we can go anywhere, and we truly can't. We're therapy dogs. We are not service dogs. And so we don't go into grocery stores. We don't get to fly on airplanes,
We don't go to restaurants.
We don't go to restaurants without permission, of course. So that's a misconception also. We go where we're invited, put it that way.
That is a big difference between a service dog and a therapy dog, is a service dog has what's called full access, correct?
Correct.
And then, so the opposite would be limited access or invitation. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, we go where we're invited. If we do want to try to go to a restaurant, for example, training, we can get their permission, and they do all the work for, health reasons, things like that, health inspections, things like that. There has to be a little bit of that has to be done on the venue's part.
What is your relationship with your dog? Taught you about empathy and connection with other humans.
Oh, that's a great question, but a really tough question. Denali is kind of the mother dog of my family. She tries to take care of us. My younger dog, Kodiak, who's also a therapy dog, is the kid and kind of crazy. And Denali tries to corral us, but Denali tries to take care of me. And that's kind of her role that she's found with me.
If somebody wanted to know more about Go Team Dogs, how would they get a hold of you? There's a web page, you have events. So can the public come watch a training or just come to when you're actually at maybe some like a parade or something? Or I think you go to the children's museum or zoo or things like that too, correct?
First of all, our website is goteamdogs.org, or they can email me at team_Idaho@goteamdogs.org. As to coming to our training, no, the public really isn't allowed to do that, simply because it has to be a controlled environment. The dogs have to concentrate on what's happening and without a lot of distractions. I use the alumni as distractions through the training so that they do get used to having people around, but these are people that understand what needs to happen. So, and as for events, it's almost like it's based on the venue that we go to, and so it's not really an invitation for anybody to come and watch us. We are at the Veterans Parade if you want to see us there, but they'd almost have to be at the venue that we have an event.
We have a few public events like the Children's Museum. We did a prevention for suicide, kind of a walk fair. Those kind, they certainly can come see us there.
And Shelli mentioned National Night Out last night. We were there, lots of public. And we also are at the expo for like the home show, the Christmas show, sportsman show. And we do that in support of one of our sponsors, which is Positive Pets.
Anything else you wanted to add or any thoughts?
We could talk about our crisis team. We really didn't go in depth on the crisis team.
We have 113 dogs and 116 humans in the Treasure Valley.
We have a crisis team, and we have approximately 40 of those handlers and teams participate in our crisis events. Our crisis events, we have 3 different categories. So we have the crisis team, And then we have crisis events that we go out. Joe had mentioned, like to the Boise schools or Ada County Sheriff. And so those are just us providing some emotional support for people that are in crisis. And so we get invited out. We take a trained team out there and we provide that kind of service. The next one is, we call it the Adopt a School. And we're trying to embed ourselves into the school districts around here to help with the emotional support of situations and kids and all that. And then the last one is into the first responders. We're trying to get into certain fire departments and police departments and provide them with emotional support. So if some crisis happens or somehow that we can help them, they will call us and we will provide a team to come out to them, and so they can get some emotional support from our little cuddle buddies.
Now it's time for Questions for Canines. Submit your questions in the comments.
Right, it's John Fleas here. Faithful, loyal dog, I suppose. Here's some questions. If you had to choose between a belly rub or unlimited treats, which would I pick? Difficult question. Do I get to phone a friend? No, my paws won't be able to dial the numbers. So I'm going to say probably the belly rubs, because, you know, the reason I do get the belly rubs is because I've got indigestion, but my owner doesn't know that, so I just bark and he sends me outside, but he doesn't realise that it's from all those stupid treats that he keeps feeding me. That's why I get the indigestion, that's why I need the belly rubs in the first place, so I'll stick with the belly rubs. Do I ever feel the cat is plotting against me? No, I don't think the cat would know how to plot to walk into a wall. It's so dumb and useless, this cat. It couldn't plot anything in the world, no. No, it's absolutely useless, mindless. Do you have a favourite song to howl along to? Not so much, but I do wag my tail whenever Brahms comes on. Brahms' Third Symphony Orchestra. Has to be that, or the tail won't move at all.
This has been Questions for Canines. Remember to submit your questions in the comments. Back to you, Ron.
Thanks, Epic Voice Guy. So, Joe and Shelli, any other things you'd like to say as we wrap up here? I mean, this is a rewarding work, and how has it really been rewarding for you?
I would really like to say that this volunteer position, and it really is a volunteer position, is very rewarding. And we get to be out in the community giving back to all different venues, from senior citizens to preschoolers to veterans to travelers at the airport. It's really important that our dogs are out giving love in the community. It's an amazing, rewarding experience for us and for the people that we see. And that's why I think it's important that we're there.
I agree. That's awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being our first guest on the podcast. And so if people want to get a hold of you, there's a website which we'll put up. And this has been wonderful. So thank you so much. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Learning about Go Team Therapy Dogs.
To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up and share. Back to you, Epic Voice Guy.
Thanks for listening and for subscribing to this Pause for You podcast. Visit our website, tpfypod.com. We are currently accepting submissions for additional sponsors so they can pay me with more than just dog biscuits. That could be you. This is Epic Voice Guy John Bailey saying, until next time, ruff, ruff, bow, wow, sniff, sniff.